Dr. K here. If you've been watching my channel since the beginning, since this channel has been created, you must be under the assumption the world is fake and everything around you is but my simulation. You must have that in mind, otherwise you'll find my channel very difficult to swallow. Never before have I want to speak about this topic, but I want to speak about it now. The secret behind Buddhism. First of all, everything you know is but just in-game content, a simulation of Universe 1. Buddhism was created to get people out of the simulation in case they forgot how to get out, of which most people have forgotten. What is the secret behind Buddhism? Let's talk about just the Buddha statue alone is profound and deep, enough for you to understand. Now Westerners are taught in Buddhism, oh, you must believe in the Four Holy Foundation Principle, all this. That's not Buddhism. That is not Buddhism. I would like to read an article online of a Westerner depicting why he quit Buddhism by John Horgan. For a 25-year-old religion, Buddhism seems remarkably compatible with our scientifically oriented culture, which may explain its surging popularity here in the States. Over the last 15 years, the number of Buddhist centers in the United States has more than doubled, brackets Tibetan Buddhism that is, to well over 1,000. As many as 4 million Americans now practice Buddhism, surpassing a total of Episcopalians. Of these, Buddhists have postgraduate degrees according to one survey. Recently, convergences between science and Buddhism have been explored in a slew of books, including Zen and the Brain and Psychology of Awakening, and scholarly meetings. The Psychology of Awakening has also sparked a bunch of cultists to use that to their advantage and abusing money and so forth. We'll talk about that later. Next fall, Harvard will host a colloquium titled Investigating the Mind, where leading cognitive scientists will swap theories with the Dalai Lama. Just the other week, the New York Times held the reapproachment between modern science and ancient Buddhism wisdom. 4 years ago, I joined a Buddhist meditation class and began talking to and reading books. Intellectuals sympathetic to Buddhism. Eventually and regretfully, I conclude that Buddhism is not much more rational than the Catholicism I lapsed from in my youth. Is that because maybe both of them I wrote the same book because I created the game? And if I created the game, therefore I am God the creator in terms of the game? Buddhism's moral and metaphysical worldview cannot easily be reconciled with science, or more generally with modern humanistic values. Define human values. Your foundation is based on the simulation, not based on actual human values of the real world. Let's continue. For many, a chief selling point of Buddhism is the supposed de-emphasis of supernatural notions such as immortal souls and God. Does it? Obviously this person doesn't understand Buddhism. Buddhism rejects the theological impulse. The philosopher Owen Flanagan declares approvingly in The Problem of the Soul. Actually, Buddhism is functionally theistic, even if it avoids the G word, the God word, like its parent religion, Hinduism. I like how people always relate Hinduism with Buddhism when... Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Buddhism espouses reincarnation, which holds that after death our souls are reinstated into new bodies, and karma, the law of moral cause and effect. Together, these tenets imply the existence of some cosmic judge who, like Santa Claus, tallies up our naughtiness and niceness before rewarding us to with rewards as a cockroach or as a saintly llama. Spoken true from somebody who has no idea this is a simulation. If this is a simulation and you have a feedback cable in the back of your head and a VR helmet, then of course there is a judge and adjudicator. Do you know who the adjudicator is? Our technicians in the company. Western Buddhists usually downplay these supernatural elements, insisting that Buddhism isn't so much a religion as a practical method of achieving happiness. And that is why Buddhists in the West are going to get screwed, because they twisted it. They depict Buddha as a pragmatist who eschewed metaphysical speculation focused on reducing human suffering. As the Buddhist scholar Robert Thurman put it, Buddhism is an inner science, empirical discipline fulfilling our mind's potential. And that's how the cult has started in the West. You twisted it. The ultimate goal is the state of pre-eternal bliss, wisdom and moral grace, sometimes called enlightenment, which is not what enlightenment means. Buddhism's version of heaven, except that you don't have to die to get there. Actually, you do have to die to get there, but you won't actually die because all you're doing is logging out. Let's define the real term of enlightenment, because the Western people have twisted it. Enlightenment something that all these spiritual people on the internet to try get views and credibility, all they have to do is put a third eye poster over the background, and suddenly they are incredibly enlightened, as if they know the meaning of life, therefore they're enlightened. No, to be enlightened by Buddhist definition, or to have achieved nirvana, you want to talk about Buddha level? 3 elements. Which 3 elements? Complete detachment from everything. What does that mean? That means to understand everything around you is not real. Otherwise, how do you log out of the game? If you even think a speck of dust is real. No differentiation. If nothing's real, then everything's the same, right? No false thoughts and ideologies. What do I mean by false thought? To think anything is real here is a false thought. To think any values taught here is a false thought, because you're inside a video game. Simple as that. By the definition of what John Horgan has said inside this article, he's implying the Westerners have already twisted the meaning of enlightenment from its original meaning, which means you have turned Buddhism in the West into a cult. You think it's to seek happiness by reducing suffering, which basically cuts off your ability to escape the simulation, which is why I'm here to correct that. Should anyone listen to me, because I have achieved beyond Buddha level by the book's definition. Why? Because I've exited the simulation, my simulation that is, and I'm here to get people out. Should you listen?
Morty, here, check this out.
Roy, what's wrong?
I had a nightmare. I was with an old man. He put a helmet on me.
It's just a fever. Get some sleep. I don't want you missing school on Monday.
I want you kids to look around you today and think about your future. Now is the time in your life when anything is possible.
Spiraling perfectly, it's gonna be caught by Roy Parsons. Roy Parsons is at the 20, now he's at the 10. Nothing can stop Roy the Rocket. Touchdown!
I just think it's time to get realistic. Have you talked to my father about the carpet store? Roy?
Had we caught it sooner... Well, hindsight is 20/20, Roy. What's important is that we moved quickly.
I'm not ready to die.
You're not going to.
Hey, thanks for the carpet, Roy.
Hey, Roy, you pull those Persian off-white shags for the clearance sale?
Whoa. Shit! Oh, what the hell? Whoa, where am I?
55 years, not bad, Morty. You kind of wasted your 30s, though, with that whole bird-watching phase.
Where's my wife?
Morty, you were just playing a game. It's called Roy. Snap out of it, come on.
I'm Morty, you're Rick. Hey, you sold a gun to a guy that kills people!
Look at this. You beat cancer and then you went back to work at the carpet store? Boo. It's also the same as doing nothing. If Crumbopulous Michael wants someone dead, there's not a lot anyone can do to stop him. That's why he does it for a living. Now excuse me, it's time to thrash your Roy score. Yeah, that's the difference between you and me, Morty. I never go back to the carpet store.
Holy shit! This guy's taking Roy off the grid! This guy doesn't have a social security number for Roy!